This episode of FSEN Daily includes affiliate promotions. When you use our link or promo code, FSEN may earn a small commission that helps us continue bringing you coverage of local sports and entertainment. Thanks for supporting the show.
Every score, every story, every voice that matters in the borderland. This is FSEN Daily. Sports entertainment news. If it matters here, it matters here.
Hello everyone and welcome to FSEN Daily. Today is Friday, July 31st. This is a bittersweet and somber show for me, myself personally. This will be JR's last live in-studio show, at least for a while, as he goes off to college and starts his L1 year of law school at the University of Texas. So he will be joining us throughout the year remotely. Just got to figure out what his schedule is going to look like to see how often we're going to have him on the show. But yeah, this is this young man's last show. As a Pops, I'm kind of torn. I'm excited for his future. Selfishly, I'm torn because I've been trying to get him on here for several years, and he finally agreed to do it. And I got to tell you, the guy's been very good.
Thank you.
He's been very good. The feedback we've gotten from the audience has been nothing but positive. They've been asking me why hadn't I done this before, and I have to blame you, my good guy.
You can blame me.
Hey, you the one told me no.
Me.
But
This is the first year you've ever asked me to do this.
no.
Let the record reflect.
Come on, bro.
The first time he ever asked me to do this. Actually, I've mentioned bringing on someone else multiple times.
Someone else,
This summer
yes.
is the first time he asked me, "Do you want to do this?" I was like, "I guess." I'll give you that. I was reluctant, but this is the first time you asked me.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Don't lie to the people. Give the people the truth.
We got selective memory around here, but it's all good. But hey, that's neither here nor there. We got a good show for you guys today. Not sure how long it's gonna last. Could be long, could be short. Depends on how much pontificating this young man does today. But because this last show, I'm gonna let him get it all out of his system. So today we start with high school sports are right around the corner here in the borderland. We've got volleyball that starts in 2 weeks. I think first games locally are August the 11th. So that's going to be a good time for sure. And then we've got high school football starting up August 27th, first games. And so super excited for that. We kick off the high school football season August 27th here live on FSEN with the game in Canyon. So looking forward to that. Yeah. Next big news here for the borderland. Shout out to Haley Delgado, one of the rising stars here in the borderland. This young lady is a phenom for sure. And she joins the USA Wrestling Elite program, all while still balancing a high school athletic and high school experiences. They think this is her senior year at Eastwood. She decided to go with the accelerator program and so that allowed her to stay here and continue to participate for the Eastwood wrestling and flag football team, along with still being a student, right? She gets to experience her senior year of high school.
I believe it's her junior year now, not senior. I think she got one more year after this.
You could be right.
Yeah, I'm looking up.
Yeah, so she went. She placed second this year at the 2026 U.S. Marine Corps Junior Nationals in Fargo, North Dakota, which put her up for this opportunity. And so she'll train once a month. She'll go for a week, once a month, to Colorado to train with some of the best in the country in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely kudos to you, young lady. I'm sure your parents, your family are super proud. Yeah, she is a junior. You're right. She's a junior. So, I mean, this is huge. I mean, hey.
It's great for Borderland athletics as a whole.
Oh, yeah.
Again,
I mean,
putting another person going out to represent El Paso and the Borderlands proudly. This could be a good season for sports. You know, starting with, again, the 14U team that competed for a spot for the Little League Junior League World Series. I don't know the exact name. Something like that. The older division for the Little League World Series, and now this as well. It's very good year for sports.
yeah.
And let's see if the Borderlands can continue with this high level of competition that we have been seeing as of late.
Definitely. And I'm going to put it out there now. Haley, we want to get you on to be a guest on one of the BSR sessions. So we'll figure out how to actually get in touch with you to make that happen. But we'll definitely want to get you on here to tell your story. What's next? We're gonna shift gears here. Like always, we start local and then we expand out. And so we're gonna expand out into what I find is very interesting, and it's the possible unionization of college athletics. It's breaking out everywhere. You've got student athletes across the country now joining organizations, creating organizations to start unionizing at their schools. This is going to be very interesting to see what happens in the next coming couple of days, weeks, and months. Thoughts?
Yeah, this is definitely in response, obviously, to NIL, all that money.
For sure.
Different kind of. This is another push for collective bargaining between student athletes and the schools, because especially now with NIL, especially now since schools are able to basically use students as an extension of their marketing department, extension of their advertising for the school, how to pay them for it, is now become, and with the struggles in the Senate to even pass the Protect College Sports Act, I believe is the actual name of it, to pass even the Senate, much less the House, to become a law. This is another way for students to kind of protect themselves and have that bargaining. So it was reported today that about 100 college women's basketball players joining a union effort with the United College Athletics Association, basically, again, acting as a way to collectively bargain with colleges, with these conferences, and hopefully at some point, I think the goal is with the NCAA as a whole to, again, collectively bargain, work for better contracts, better accommodations and pay. Because while the NCAA wants to stress the fact that they're student athletes, that student part comes first, with how expensive these media deals are, these patch deals are that we're seeing teams get. Like Ohio State got a $17 million jersey patch deal done. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish got another sponsored patch deal done. A lot of NIL funding is coming to these students, both from outside the school and also, especially within the school. It's starting to look less and less like they're student athletes, more and more that they're employees. With how much money is being brought in, they want their fair share, because ultimately it's them putting their bodies on the line, their futures on the line, because especially with sports like basketball and football, like high impact sports on the body, or volleyball, like high impact sports on the body, you're basically, like, these athletes are putting their bodies on the line every single day for throughout the year, on top of academics, on top of trying to set themselves for a good future outside of sports. So I think it's beneficial, I'd say. I don't think that, again, if there's no regulation coming from the top, then regulation has to come from within these schools and these students and how they interact with one another.
Yeah.
And, obviously there's different disconnects between private unionization, public unionization, and also, again, it's going to be at the school level and also the NCAA as well. There's going to be a lot of challenges. I do think that this is another step forward, and hopefully, we can see some protection for these students as well. So, at the end of the day, they technically are students, but they're being used as basically employees to try and push the school forward and put them out on the national level.
So about 3 months ago, had a conversation with a Division I head football coach.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that conversation was how schools are now looking at putting together the verbiage to make these student athletes employees.
Mm-hmm.
And what do those packages look like? This was 3 months ago. So the schools have been looking at this for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were trying to get ahead of this and get out in front of it. And then the legislation happened with Congress. And so they were trying to figure out how that was going to pan out. So I think that here in the very near future, you're going to start seeing student athletes considered as employees. Now, this is just me thinking, right? This is little Steve thinking. What is the difference between these student athletes being considered employees than a student that's working for the school? What's the difference? They don't get those students benefits. Those students aren't getting health plans. So I don't know why that's even the argument, because if you work for the housing office as an RA, you're not getting no kind of a health benefits plan.
You're not, but you are getting paid.
Yes, you're getting paid. They're still getting paid. They're going to still get paid. There's no difference. So I don't know why just because they're an athlete, we got to make this big stink about, oh, blah, blah, blah. They're just like any other student working for the school. They might make more money, but they're just like any other student working for the school. RAs do not get they might get housing, they might get tuition reduction, but they're not on benefits plans. They're not on health medical benefits plans. So don't try to say that that's what we got to do with these athletes when the reality is we don't, because there's already an example sitting on campus with all those students that are working for the housing department, all those students that are doing what? Work study. It's no different.
I think it's also a matter of the amount of risk, because like I said, these athletes are as an RA, what are you really risking besides
No, but here's
having to
my
deal with
point, though. Take that off the table. There's still a student
That's true.
who's playing sports, which already has the health plan already there. So all you're doing now is saying, okay, we're going to make you a student employee of the school, like an RA or whatever. So this is what you're going to get paid for that. It's no different. They're trying to keep control of athletics. Just because it's athletics doesn't mean, oh my God, we got to control this because there's so much money involved with it. That's what it is. They're trying to keep control of the money, as opposed to saying, okay, treat them just like we treat them like a resident advisor, like an RA. Because it's the same relationship at the end of the day. So I don't know why, just because they're athletes, we got to put all this speculation on it. Just because they're athletes, oh, we got to regulate how much money they can make. That's crazy. Because guess what? That student that's getting that full ride academically can still go out and make money, can still work for the school. It ain't no different. We're just making it that way because there's millions of dollars involved, and they're trying to keep their grip lock on those millions of dollars. That's all this is. It's a control thing. I digress. I'm sorry. Let me calm down. But really, I mean, at the end of the day, the models are already at the schools. You've got resident advisors. You've got kids working work study that are getting paid by the school. They ain't employees. They're not getting benefits packages. So let's stop looking at athletes like that. That's my 2 cents. Then you're quiet over there, huh?
I'm trying to do some research, man.
I didn't destroy your whole little argument or something.
No.
But I mean, really, let's think about it. Like, why are we trying to do this and make athletics that much more? Like, we're really, at the end of the day, we're being prejudice towards athletes because they're athletes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's also a matter of athletes want a seat at the table when it comes to some of these decisions involving like funding for their programs.
Well,
This is ultimately what was happening when NIL got passed. When they finally said, yes, you can make money off your name, image, and likeness. This is going to ultimately become the conversation next of, okay, you're basically treating these students, these college athletes.
They want to be treated as pro athletes, and therein lies the problem. The student athletes are trying to be treated as pros. That is the problem. That's the problem. You're not a pro. Bro, you're not a pro, so stop acting like one. You're not a pro. You're an amateur. Get your money, but stop trying to act like you're a pro and have say-so. You're 20, 21, 22 years old. Come on, man.
I mean, some baseball players like 18, 19 at pro level. So we can't really use age as a
But what I'm saying is
as a marker of whether or not you're a pro athlete.
no, it's not that. It's not that. My point is that be a kid. Enjoy being a kid. You're going to get paid. But you're not a pro. College isn't a pro sport.
But you have pro athletic risk, especially when you look at football again with
That risk has been there before the NIL money.
Yeah.
So let's not even put that in there. That risk has always been there.
but now there's more research on how bad those risks are. Remember when the NFL was trying to cover up how bad concussions were?
They've been known this. That risk has always been there. That was the point. That was part of the risk of playing. You knew there was risk when you started to play. There's risk walking the streets. There's risk waking up and getting out of bed. There's risk in everything we do in life. The problem is that there's so much money on the line that people are trying to control that money. That's really the problem. And so the moment we take the money off the table, take how much money off the table there is. You're going to pay these student athletes, pay them. You don't have to make them employees at a college like a full-time employee. You can do them just like you do resident advisors. Pay them whatever you're going to pay them. Nobody cares. I don't care how much. You can pay them $1 million. That's fine. But you don't have to give them health benefits and all that with it. Because then if you're going to do that for the athletes, I'm going to say this right now. If I'm a resident advisor on any campus, if these student athletes get health benefits, I want them to.
Yeah.
I want them to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want them to. So if you're going to give them special treatment, I want them to. And every daggone resident advisor out there, I hope you listening. Go get yours too if they're going to do that. But treat them like the resident advisors. I mean, this is crazy what's happening with college athletics right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, I will agree that it is crazy. I do not think that necessarily unionization needs to happen, but I do think that there needs to definitely be a lot more regulation in how this works and how this money is being distributed towards the students. In all honesty, and if unionizing is the only way that there can actually be serious conversations about standardizing this, making it fair for both men and women athletics, for Olympic athletics as well, because track and field, that's basically pro right there. Track and field, that those college students are basically going out for the Olympics, representing the country. I think they're entitled to a lot of conversations, because again, they're being asked at this young age, 18, 19, 20, 21, hey, every 4 years we have the Olympics, go out and represent the country. We're going to send you overseas.
They get paid for that. They're not doing that for free.
I know they're not doing that for free.
They're getting paid for that. So I'm trying to figure out what your argument is in this. Because they're getting paid for that.
I'm not getting paid for that.
Hmm?
I know they're getting paid for that.
But like, I don't
think
get it.
there needs to be more regulation surrounding
Why?
NIL money stuff.
Why?
Why there needs to be regulation?
Yes.
It's a lot of money.
But why? Because it's athletes? Because you're not regulating how much Joe Schmo that's sitting over here that's created an app and is getting paid while he's in college. You're not regulating that.
Because he's not doing it through school.
That's a lie. He's doing it in his dorm room. You know how many businesses have been built in dorm rooms?
But is that through the school? Is the school bankrolling that? I can build a business in my dorm. I ain't got to tell the school about
Guess
it
I'm
all.
gonna tell you what. You know what happens? If you built a tech business in your dorm room and you use the school's internet to do so, guess who could claim rights to your tech business? The school. Because you did it on their stuff. And this has happened a couple of times. They tried to do that to Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook. So, again, we're not trying to do this to the regular student that's going to school there. So just because they're athletes, we need all this regulation over top of it, right? It's crazy. Doesn't make sense. As Mr. Parker likes to say, that's diabolical. It's diabolical. Like we're zeroing out athletes because they're athletes and there's money involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
But every other student that walks that campus, even the ones that are getting scholarships, have the right to make as much money as they can while they're there. So why can't I make as much money as I can when I take this uniform off? I'll wait. I'm a student, right? Who just happens to play athletics. Does that make me any different than the student who just happens to be a graphic designer, or who just that's freelancing and making money, or who just happens to be an app developer who's just freelancing and making money? Does that make me any different? I'll wait. Not at all. So let's stop treating these athletes like they've done something wrong just because there's millions of dollars involved and grown-ups don't want to share that with them. And they're trying to figure out every way not to. I'm all for athletes getting paid, but treat them the same way as you would treat any other student is my whole point. Hey, folks, we're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be right back to talk about this a little bit more.
When it comes to your safety, good enough doesn't cut it. That's why you need the best work gloves. Bare knuckles, gloves for any job, anywhere.
Less clutter, more clarity. This is Distill Union, where smart design meets real life. From wallets that snap shut just right, to eyewear that's built to last, every detail is made to simplify your day. No flash, no fuss. Just clean lines, clever function, and modern style that moves with you. Distill Union, smart by design. Simplify your everyday. Use promo code FSEN and receive 20% off your entire order.
Embrace individuality with Akolah's diverse collection designed to stand out and make a statement wherever you go. Designed in sunny Los Angeles and handcrafted with precision, Akolah sunglasses deliver durability and comfort, keeping you stylish and protected all day long. Use promo code FSEN and get 10% off your entire order.
Throughout his career, NFL Hall of Famer John Randall left a wake of destruction and fear on the field, and anger and fear that would follow him the rest of his...
Nope! I'm chill now, thanks to Chill Boys bamboo boxers and briefs. They wick away sweat, provide support, and are comfy as hell. I have 137 and a half career sacks, but now I just take care of mine. Chill Boys, comfort where it counts.
All right, folks, we are back. We're back. We're going to continue this NIL conversation a little bit more. One of the things that we do here at Howard Family Media Group is we actually offer an NIL program to help student athletes to use their name, image, and likeness to get paid for it, right? And so I'm a staunch advocate for student athletes getting paid name, image, and likeness. But this whole regulation and whatnot, I think we're getting out of control because it goes back to the whole everybody gets a trophy type thing, right? Or, well, it's not fair to the revenue generating sports. NIL was never meant to be this fair across the board thing. NIL was meant for you to be able to use your name, image, and likeness and get paid from it if you garnered such a fee, right? So if you were a good enough athlete, regardless of what sport it was, you could go out and get paid for your name, image, and likeness. The problem came about when schools started paying money and calling it NIL. When in reality, that's revenue sharing. They started sharing revenue with the students. So it's not NIL no more at the collegiate level. It's now called revenue sharing. So we're talking about two different things, to be honest, right? So we're talking revenue sharing, which is what I think these student athletes are trying to get a piece of. That's something different. It's not NIL. That's something totally different. Now, revenue sharing, okay, so
I think the main thing is probably the revenue sharing from the schools, as separate from the NIL that they get from outside sponsors.
yes.
That's the main issue with the unionizing, because athletes, with the increased time commitment that some of these schools are asking for them, want protection, want a fair share, that revenue share, since they're technically the ones that are drawing those eyes, technically speaking. When those athletes come into those colleges, those athletes go on all those advertisements, the athletes do all this for the school.
So I'm going to come as a devil's advocate here. The school may say, well, you don't have that opportunity without me. So it becomes the egg before the chicken. Which came first? Did your opportunity become because of the school? Or did your opportunity become because of what you did before you got to the school? And does that opportunity still exist because without the school as it would if you were with the school? And I would venture to say that a lot of times that argument would be that it would not exist if you weren't at the school.
Fair.
Right? And so I get that part. The part that I think that these student athletes need to be very, very, very cautious about is this. The moment that I start paying you as an athlete, right? The moment I start paying you as an employee, because that's what they're trying to get, right? When you start unionizing all that. What comes with that?
Well, one of the main things that comes with that is it provides actual stability.
No. What comes with that as an employee of an entity?
Expectations that you perform.
That's one. What else comes with that if you don't perform?
You get fired.
There you go. Ding, 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 ding. You get fired. So as a school, so the NC you had the Power 5 plus Notre Dame, 66 colleges who agreed, hey, we're going to fully guarantee these contracts. I mean, these scholarships. Right?
Is that not what they do?
The Power 5 plus Notre Dame, 66 schools agreed to fully guarantee your scholarship if you're an athlete. That's coming off the table if this goes through. Because guess what? I need to be able to fire you when you don't perform. So you negotiated this contract. And when you don't live up to the contract expectations and you don't deliver, I'm going to fire you. You're not getting a degree. Because you ain't going to be here no more. Like, this is a very slippery slope right now.
I think going as far as like you kicking them out the school because they don't perform as an athlete.
I fired you. You don't have your scholarship. You ain't paying to go to school here. So now you got to pay to go to school here. How you going to pay for it?
Loans.
You become a regular student.
Yeah.
Is my point. It's no longer free. So if you can't afford it from the jump, then you're not going to be going to school here anymore. You're gone.
But then in there lies the protections of getting fired. Like what determines athletic achievement? What determines those rules? That's where collective bargaining comes in. That's where contracts come in. That's where unionization comes in to establish those protections.
Okay,
that's
I got
another
that
reason why this may want to be formed, to actually solidify what those parameters are. Because technically speaking, right, if you go through the NCAA as well, how it's set up, you get how it's set up now, you get 5 years for 5 seasons, right? How it's set up now. Now we're seeing a bunch of different lawsuits, especially before the system set up, a lot of different lawsuits, a lot of different types of litigation into eligibility, into how long these players can play, what constitutes a crisis, what constitutes them sitting out, whether it be redshirt, what constitutes an actual emergency where they couldn't use that eligibility. Seen a lot of lawsuits. Collective bargaining would help to formalize and legalize what those things are, as opposed to relying on basically a lot of litigation, a lot of lawsuits, a lot of arbitration, a lot of that stuff as well.
Okay.
That's one advantage of it. Now, disadvantage is, like you said, if you start formalizing that, right, and a player just doesn't perform for one reason or the other, is not laid out, and they get fired, or that revenue sharing that they're getting gets revoked.
No, you get fired. You get fired. If there's no, you get fired. Because you're an employee. You're getting fired. Like, this is grown up business now. This ain't no longer, this is grown up business, and what we're gonna find out is that there's an old adage: be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. Just might get it. You just might get what you want, and everything that comes along with that.
Mm-hmm.
Just might get it, and then at that point, it's okay. Well, we gave you what you wanted. You got exactly what you asked for. Now you don't have any of these protections because, truthfully, you're not on scholarship anymore. You're working for the school. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So all the, like, it's gonna be.
Another thing to look at is like schools that don't do athletic scholarships, like the Ivy Leagues, where their teams are built out via academic scholarships.
Yeah.
What would that look like for them? Because they don't even do any type of revenue sharing like that. They might do some NIL, but their main way of getting students is academic.
Yeah.
Because they obviously could care less about sports.
Truthfully, I mean, sports is just something for a pastime. But, I mean, it's just going to be the next, like I said, the next coming days, weeks, months, the next year. It's going to be very interesting, because I think what's going to happen is you're going to see some students you're going to see some student athletes get some victories, but that victory might not be worth it in the end game.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's going to come out of it is that now some of the protections that you had with your scholarship being fully guaranteed, that's going to be gone. So now you're fired.
Well, okay. Well, would them be considered like employees when they're athletes? Would the funding, the revenue sharing that they get, would that be separate from their athletic scholarship, or would it be included? How's it work now?
It's
I'm
separate.
just curious. It's separate.
Yeah.
Why would it not be separate if they're seen as employees, separate from their
because
athletic scholarship?
Why would I keep it separate? As the school, why would I want to keep it separate? That doesn't benefit me to keep it separate. It only benefits you as a student athlete. Why would I want to keep it separate? You want to unionize this? Okay, fine. So then we're going to do this the way where it's beneficial. I'm looking at it from my beneficial standpoint now as a school, and why am I keeping it separate? Why would I do that? How does that benefit me? It doesn't. One bit. Because if I'm going to have to pay you as an employee, now what I could say is okay, as part of your payment is you get to go to school here for free. Right? That's another drawback, right? So what does it say? Okay, so your whole, as part of working for us, is your tuition is included, your housing is included, which is right now, but now it's kind of separate. We make that part of your salary. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You get fired. That ain't your salary no more.
Then you can look at severance packages, different arguments.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
They start approaching it like employee severance packages. What constitutes a fireable offense?
Who says I have to give you a severance package? That's part of your negotiating when you go through?
Yes.
Okay, so I just this is gonna get real messy before it gets.
That's the whole point of a union is to, okay, we're gonna get paid. Now we have protections as employees. Now we can bargain for some of these protections. That's the whole point of union. Or if push comes to shove, they strike. They don't play. They don't go to school. And now you ain't got the population. Now your school looks terrible. Because now you have your whole student athlete population going on strike.
This doesn't impact a Division I school like that. You're talking, what? Maybe 1,000 plus 2,000. Let's say 2,000 students. Is that what we're looking at? That aren't paying anyway. Let's just start with that. That aren't paying. How many of them is it? Let's say 4,000. 4,000 a good number?
Like per school or?
On average.
At each school?
On average, how many student athletes are at a Division I school? Let's see.
There are roughly 204,000 total student athletes.
No, but per school.
500 to 600.
Okay, so let's say 500, right? That aren't paying. You're not paying anything. Your tuition's free because I'm giving you a scholarship, right?
Not all those students have scholarships.
If you're Power 5, your scholarship's guaranteed.
For every single student?
Yes.
Mm.
Some of those are partials, but still, it's a guaranteed scholarship, right? So, okay, so let's say guaranteed. Let's look at the guarantee. So let's say football, basketball, boys and girls basketball, volleyball. Then you got baseball, soccer, softball. These are non-revenue generating sports. So if you got 500 athletes that aren't really contributing to the revenue coming into the school per se through tuition, right?
Mm-hmm.
You strike. What did I lose? Most athletic programs are generating on a deficit. Most athletic programs aren't making money for the schools. They're costing them money. There's only a few schools that are operating on the positive on the athletic side. So, what am I losing?
All them
what?
TV contracts, them broadcasting deals. Because you're not putting out a product.
Hold on. That money comes in and I'm still losing money. Even after all that, I'm still losing money on athletics. For most schools, I'm still losing money on athletics. Even after all of that comes in, I'm still losing money. What did I lose by you striking? I actually put money back in my pocket. Because I didn't have to field these teams. And the problem becomes is coaches, right? Do I now fire coaches because you ain't in no teams? I'm saving even more money. So from an academic standpoint, you're doing the school a favor by striking. So I don't know if that's going to stand up with a school, especially we're talking Division I schools now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who have a population of 50 plus 1,000 students. So I'm going to lose 500 who aren't paying. I mean, we just saw what 500 students meant to a school, and they was getting money for it. They was like, oh well. So 500 athletes that ain't bringing in that's costing me money anyway. I'm just saying. This is the argument I think from the school side. This isn't how Steve really feels, but I'm just saying, like, this is the argument that the school is looking at is like, don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, I think also another thing to look at as well is how does it impacts those schools that don't necessarily do, like I said, don't necessarily do athletic scholarships or who don't really make a lot of money from athletics to begin with as well. Like I said, how it does work for like the Ivy Leagues or even like military schools who don't even participate in any type of NIL revenue sharing at all because you're going there with the expectation of you're going to do some type of service afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Or like for example, HBCUs who make most of their money from playing other schools as opposed to like broadcasting or offering any type of athletic scholarships for the most part.
Okay. So, looking at FBS Division 1 financial snapshot from 2024. The median generated revenue was $82.19 million. Total expenses, $109.99 million. That means they lost $25.13 million.
Can you repeat
21 schools had a positive net generated revenue. 21. The average school lost $25 million. FBS. This is just FBS.
that? Mm-hmm.
21 out of 352 active D1 schools are currently profitable. 2024. And we got kids running around here talking about these programs. Yeah, they seeing millions of dollars coming in, but they're paying out millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. They're losing $25 million. So tell me where this math is mathing.
I'm not gonna lie, I did not hear a word of what you just said.
You didn't hear what I said?
I heard bits and pieces. I'm trying to do research on my own. Don't mind me.
Oh, my goodness. My point is that schools have lost $25 million.
Mm-hmm.
21 of 352 schools were profitable in 2024. The average school lost $25 million just by having athletics. Now, did they make that up on the academic side because of the athletics? Sure, I'm sure it's possible. Yes, sure. But they lost $25 million on athletics alone.
Mm-hmm.
So you think they're going to be mad about a strike?
Probably not.
Exactly. That doesn't hold any weight. Okay, go ahead. Strike. I don't know. This NIL thing is going to be a very touchy subject for the foreseeable future. I would say that.
No, absolutely, because I'm still. I think unionizing might be a step too far, but I do think there needs to be some form of regulation, not just in terms of how the money is spent, but also how disputes are solved as well. That's another reason why players look to unionize, to basically standardize how disputes are handled. Because right now is what arbitration, but then you see some students escalating things up to the appeals court or even to the Supreme Court of their state, and it's basically a wild west in how stuff is handled legally. So even outside of just making them employees, but just unionizing or just setting up some actual transparent way that stuff is handled, not only between schools and athletes, but the NCAA and schools. The NCAA and their former athletes NCAA and current athletes is another reason why we're seeing this big push in unionizing. Because if you unionize, treat like employees, et cetera, at the school level and at the national level, then you are able to actually say, hey, how are we going to go about handling this dispute or that dispute or all this stuff? How are we going to have a say in what happens to us as athletes from the NCAA as a governing body? I think that's another reason why you're seeing this push to unionize, especially from the Big Ten student athletes, from the SEC student athletes, the Power Five, like those bigger conferences.
I get what you're saying, but if I'm already operating at a loss, it was $25.13 million for FBS, $16.83 million for FCS schools, and $17.55 million for schools that have basketball. Operating loss. What are we negotiating on? I'm already losing money. You want a part of something I don't have from most schools. So we're using the outliers to try to leverage this against everybody else. And there, I think, lies the rub. Therein lies the rub, because some schools have more budget than others, and some don't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. For example, UTEP. UTEP had a surplus of $1.27 million for 2025. They bought in 39 million, a little over 39 million, and it cost them almost 38 million in expenses for 2025. $1.27 million. You think UTEP can afford to pay their students NIL money?
Well, no, we've seen that. That's why they're not really able to get big name prospects.
But what's going to happen is that you're going to see programs like UTEP die. They're not going to be athletics no more.
Not like their teams win anything.
That's not the point. The opportunities that these student athletes now have to showcase their talents for a national level are going to go away. So, again, I go back to we're using outliers to leverage something against the rest of the population who isn't making that kind of money. So if you unionize, is the unionization across the entire NCAA student athlete field, or is it unionized locally at your school?
I think right now it's looking at locally at your school. At
Okay.
the school, at that level. And then I think from what I'm seeing, the goal is to unionize locally, then at the state, and then try and get that as nationally as possible.
Okay.
For
FAFO. That's all I'm going to say.
like I said, we going to see.
Yep.
We're going to see how some of this standardizing works. We're going to see how different schools navigate this, because it could very much be, it just depends on the school. And the NCAA says, you know what? Each school handles this however they want to handle it.
Which is what they'll probably do.
Each conference handles this how they want to handle
Yeah.
it. Which is, yeah, like I said, it's probably what they do. NCAA is.
And it's going to lead to more of the haves and the have-nots. That divide is just going to just keep getting wider and wider and wider.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We
Hey,
see
folks.
Alabama being able to outspend their opponents
Yes.
again.
Yes.
It's not like that really is much going to change from the status quo. They're already outspending bigger schools like Texas, Alabama, LSU, for Notre Dame for football, as an example, already outspending their competition. Ohio State as well, Michigan, these big football programs
Yes.
that are really only known for football, and their other athletic programs kind of like, well, y'all get the legal minimum we can give you.
True that. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We'll talk about WNBA, NBA, and close out this show.
Looking good should feel good, and with Hypernatural, it actually does. Their polos and shirts are made from natural jade and crab shell fibers engineered for softness, cooling comfort, and next-level performance. It's sustainable luxury that works as hard as you do. From the boardroom to the weekend, Hypernatural keeps you fresh, sharp, and confident all day long. Hypernatural, better by nature. Discover yours at hypernaturalstyle.com. Use promo code FSEN and get 20% off your order.
Love coffee, but not the crash. Meet Savarista, craft coffee reimagined for balance. Every roast delivers the rich flavor you crave, with little to no caffeine, so you can stay calm, focused, and in control. Ethically sourced, small batch roasted, and designed for people who live life intentionally, one cup at a time. Visit Savarista.com and use promo code FSEN to get 25% off your order. Savarista, bold flavor, balanced energy.
All right, folks, we are back.
Laptop about to die. We were talking about this for so long.
No, we're going straight WNBA, man. We're done with this. WNBA. Big news. Big news in the WNBA right now is players placing friendly wagers, specifically Miss Angel Reese and Paige Beckers. What are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts?
First question is, why did that WNBA post this at all? Post any video about this at all? That's question number one. Why would you think, right, going with what your whole collective bargaining agreement is about about placing any kind of wager, any type of betting at all, which basically, I'm just going to read it off. Section 5C of the said document. Any player found by the commissioner after a hearing to have been guilty of wagering directly or indirectly, or of offering or attempting a wager, money, or anything of value on the outcome, score, or any other aspect of any WNBA competition shall, in the sole discretion of the commissioner, be subject to a fine, suspension, and or dismissal and disqualification from any further association with the WNBA. Right? Like we've seen throughout all of sports, ranging from the WNBA, NBA, NFL, baseball, softball, and every single level of the sports, from collegiate up, high school, even high school level up, how serious they take sports betting. Why would you, as the WNBA, post anything about players even joking about any type of wager? I personally think that is negligent and borderline fireable for whoever's running that social media account, because you're now putting players are making jokes, right? They're making jokes because they're friends. Angel Reese and Paige Beckers are friends, right? They're making jokes, placing quote unquote friendly wagers on the game's outcome where they can actively control how well they play, right? They're making sidebar, making jokes and stuff, and you're posting this knowing the ramifications of if they get caught, right? The league already said they're not going to do any type of disciplinary action, which I think is probably the correct thing to do, because, again, why was this even posted by you all to begin with? It's not like they posted it on their own, right? It was the WNBA officially posted them asking them this.
I'm going to caveat this with this. This is what I think, right? This is my opinion. I'm going to start off with that. I think
was involved in nothing.
No. I think that it was allowed to post because they didn't see an issue with it because it wasn't done on a betting or gambling site publicly, right?
That's true.
It's two players doing a friendly wager. I think that's why, right? Because let me tell you something. Michael Jordan used to do this all the time. Charles Barkley used to do this all the time. NBA players do this all the time.
But they don't document it.
They're not documented, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they was like, oh, there's nothing wrong with this. This isn't really considered gambling because it's not done on a gambling site or something like that. So it's not really impacting everybody else's money out there. It's just two players, being competitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that assessment.
Oh, absolutely. They're literally just talking, having a friendly between two friends, right? Two teammates, even in the unrivaled league.
At the end of the day, it's no different than saying, you know what, let's put dinner on it. Put dinner on it. Bet I'm on it. No different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like it was a lot of money. It was $400. But that's a lot of money depending on who you are, right?
Some of them contracts, that might be a lot of money.
Yeah, but I'm
Not
just
their
saying.
contracts, but
So I think that's how the league looked at it. It's like, dude, this is nothing. The public is just making a big deal out of this for no reason. And I agree with them. I totally agree with them that, at the end of the day, they're trying to make this league as competitive as they possibly can. Mm-hmm. And I think they're doing a good job at doing that. You just got two young players who, talk a lot of trash. They both like to talk trash, and this young group of players like to talk trash, and they're talking trash to each other. Just so happened to get caught on social media, and this is what happens when you put some young people in charge of your social media account. You get things like this from time to time because people like watching train wrecks happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that anything will come out of this as far as somebody getting fired or losing their job, because somebody else had to also agree to this before it went out. And so once it goes out on your league account, how can you now go back and find the players for something that you approved of and put out?
That's true. That's also why they said again, no repercussions will come up of this.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was a friendly wager between two friends on a game that they were playing against each other, and on a game that they could both control and not control the outcome of.
Yep.
They can control how well each of them played. Neither of them played bad, right? It was like a game of who can play worse, right? It was whichever team could win. A friendly wager between friends. That's all this was. It's not like it was thousands of dollars and you had people bet the under and you intentionally took yourselves out of the game, Rozier. But yes, I will forever bring that up because that's still going. That's an example of when some disciplinary action needs to happen, which did happen.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. So I think at the end of the day, this is nothing. This is people just want to talk.
Yeah, this is a byproduct of the league getting so many eyes. Some little discrepancies like this, ranging from two players making a friendly bet to player relationships between each other, between, like, for example, again, between each other, political views and all that gets now pushed. I'll say violently is, for lack of better words, into the front of the media and the culture that we have as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, this just shows that they've arrived. At the end of the day, you've arrived, WNBA. You've arrived. You've reached a goal. You've arrived.
Everything shall now be nitpicked.
Yep. So welcome to the party. Now let's transition to Big Brother, the NBA, and this Kawhi Leonard trade saga. When is it going to end? When is it going to end? Is the trade going to happen? Is Kawhi going to be like, when is this going to end, if at all?
I think that we'll see at least from if whether that the trade's going to happen, we should probably see an actual decision between the Raptors and the Clippers probably before the season starts. Because, at a certain point, it's kind of like you got to agree to this trade whether or not, regardless of the outcome of the investigation, by the season starts. Maybe we could see them modify the details. Maybe I'm sorry, I'm seeing multiple things on my screen. Don't mind me. Making sure that maybe the Raptors don't send all those draft picks for Kawhi. Maybe they send a couple less draft picks. Maybe the deals don't change, or maybe the Clippers and Raptors say, you know what, we're just gonna back out of this. We're gonna roll what we have and keep pushing. Because listen, let me actually bring up the trade details.
Yeah, I think that the funny thing is that
right, because the Clippers would receive Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, 2 unprotected first-round picks in 2031-23, a first-round pick swap in 2027, and 2 second-round picks in 2030 and 2033. And the Raptors would receive Kawhi Leonard with intent to sign a contract extension. So this is a lot of draft capital the Raptors are giving up, right? So I understand the Raptors being a little apprehensive, being like, okay, let's kind of see, even though multiple reports have been like, the Raptors are fine going through with it, regardless of what happens, right? Because if it's found that there was actual foul play, right? There was actual cap circumvention, and the league and the oh my gosh, something about football. The NBA Player Association agrees that, okay, this is fair, and they suspend Kawhi for an extended amount of time, right? You just traded basically your whole future for a chance to win now, and the player you traded for to win now sits out like half the season. The Clippers just committed highway robbery. Objectively, like, you don't walk away with a ring. Those draft picks look good. That pick swap in 2027 actually means something, right? It looks bad.
So
right, if he's suspended for a couple games, okay, cool, it's kind of a wash, right? You still got him. He's suspended for like 10, 15 games. If he's suspended at all right, you keep it pushing. So that's another side of it. And finally, his contract gets voided. He becomes a free agent. He becomes free to sign wherever he wants, including with the Toronto Raptors. So it ends up being kind of a wash. But at that point, if you're the Raptors, you kind of just want to leave him with the Clippers. His contract gets voided. He signs with y'all. Y'all lose nothing. Now, I will also say that I personally think, right, this investigation started almost a year ago. In a month, it'll be a year ago. Right? The NBA's been investigating this for almost a year. I think if any incriminating evidence to there being actual, like solid evidence that there's actual cap circumvention that occurred, would have most likely been found at this point, and action would have been taken on it at this point. I think since they're taking this long to look, I don't think necessarily the cap circumvention will be, like the consequences, if there was cap circumvention, would be more so on the Clippers organization and less so on Kawhi Leonard, personally. Because again, at this point, I feel like if there was like solid evidence, we would have seen action right now.
So let me ask a question. Do we get to thank Pablo Torre for all of this?
Yeah, he's the one that broke it. He's the one that broke it. He's the one that said, yeah, there's some cap circumvention with Aspire and the tree thing. There's a paper trail. He reported on it. The NBA took action. Now, do I think that there was some foul play? Probably. Because going back to what happened, go back to what the actual contract negotiations were, what happened, all the money trails, there's some level of foul play. I think some level of trying to circumvent the cap. I think, in my personal opinion, as a man who just watches basketball for fun, I think there was some level of, again, cap circumvention there. But I think that if it was like substantial evidence of like, oh yeah, no, this is definitely cap circumvention, here's how it's happened, we would have seen it by now. It's been a year. I think we would have seen some action take place. Because then also another part of it is, right, NBA takes whatever action, right, if there was cap circumvention. The NFL, I keep saying NFL, oh my God, the NBA Player Association is going to be like, wait a minute. You're going to do this to Kawhi Leonard specifically? Because then that brings the idea of, okay, do we have to watch every single player's endorsement deals, which the NBA Player Association doesn't necessarily want, because they don't want the NBA looking over the shoulder like, okay, you're signing the contract with this company for this amount. Is it a real company?
I mean, I'm going to say this. If they let LeBron James indirectly represent players while he's playing, anything's open.
Do we have actual proof?
Actual proof what?
Of him doing that? I know we got the La GM jokes, the La Agent jokes. Rich Paul basically being his puppet.
Yes. Rich Paul. You don't think LeBron has a stake in that company?
Oh, he probably does.
Without a doubt, I would say he does.
Not reported yet, not officially yet.
Yeah.
Maybe once he retires, he's definitely gonna cash in on that.
But I'm just saying,
there's a difference between speculation and a paper trail.
You're right.
Because like I said, we all made jokes about La GM, La Coach.
I'm sorry, LeBron. I'm sorry, Rich Paul, for even throwing that out there. I retract that entire statement.
I mean, we have heard something. At least him being, like I said, La GM, basically going forward and like getting whatever players he wants for his teams. We've heard reports from other players say that. Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but again, there's a difference between, like I said, those jokes and an actual paper trail, which, like I said, Pablo Torre did say there was a paper trail. He did report something.
Yeah.
I just think that at least to Kawhi, any impact to Kawhi Leonard of him actually having any like actual hand in this other than the Clippers being like, hey, yo, we going to slide you this extra 30 minutes. We just need you to sign this contract. He'd be like, okay. Gotcha. It would have been found by now, in my opinion.
So do you think that this thing is going to get wrapped up anytime soon?
God, no. At this point, like I said.
Do you think we'll start another season?
Probably. Oh, I think the Raptors and the Clippers would need to make a decision on this again by preseason, by the time training camp starts, because then you can't really have them up there at y'all's training camp for either team. You can't have these players at your training camps at all if this trade is still pending. So I think when does training camp start?
Training camp starts in September.
So by September, we should be seeing a decision made. Just because, again, I know like I've seen reports that the plan is that Kawhi will be up at those Raptors training camps, but in my mind, why would I want a player who's not officially on my team at my team's training camps? That's just me.
And I want to say that Brandon Ingram may have already moved to L.A. Get him Glow. Get him Glow. I think him and Glorilla are already in L.A., man. That's just crazy. But, hey, folks, we're going to wrap this up here. We'll come back right after this and close out the show.
Let's go! Let's photocross! Let's go to the moon! For the first time!
No thanks. I drink Aspire healthy energy drinks. Just half the caffeine of those other drinks. So they're perfect for life's everyday, unextreme moments. Moments like joining that meeting that should have been an email. Hi, Susan. Getting the motivation to go on a walk. And honestly, just staying up past 8 p.m. Aspire energy drinks also have 0 sugar, 0 calories, and are made with natural caffeine from green tea. Which means no crashes, no jitters, and no anxiety.
No one cares about your muscles.
Half the caffeine is still packed with all the flavor, with choices like mixed berry, strawberry watermelon, raspberry acai, and more.
This is good. And chill.
Life is intense enough. Drink the energy drink designed with real life and moderation in mind. Aspire energy drinks. Refreshingly unextreme energy.
All right, folks, we are back here. We're going to close out this show. Like I said when we first started, this is a bittersweet time and moment for me as I, get to watch my son go off to college, and well, not off to college, off to law school, to pursue what has been a life's dream and goal for him. So to see him actually get to work towards something that he's wanted to do since he was probably 8 or 9 years old. I couldn't be more prouder as a dad to see that happen and to go to one of the better institutions in the country in Texas. To do that, it's just overwhelming, and it's going to be a interesting time here the next 3 years as he takes this journey and watching him to grow and develop and really become what he wants to be, a lawyer, defense attorney at that. So I'm looking forward to that. And it saddens me because this was the first time that I've gotten to have him join me in doing this. Howard Family Media Group is a family-owned business, and to see him and his sister be a part of this and his journey has been humongous for me and my wife. And to not have him here next week, it's gonna hit a different way. Just because I've had him on the show and had him in here, he's been in the office every day with me, watching the business grow, helping me grow the business, and so getting to celebrating a lot of the wins that we've had here lately. And so, but to see him go off and pursue his dreams, I'm super excited for that. And just seeing the young man that he has become and grown into, I couldn't be prouder as a father. But with this being his last show, I'm going to open the floor up for him to let him say some closing words here, and we're going to close the show out. Floor is yours, young man.
It's been an honor being here for the summer. Looking forward to trying to work something out to do some episodes while I'm at law school. It's been an honor working with my co-host over here, even though some of his takes I don't agree on. That's just a matter of having an opinion. We can all be able to work together and still disagree and agree on different matters. So, yeah, that's all I have. Thank you for having me on here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Definitely. So folks, this is going to wrap up this episode of FSEN Daily. Thank you guys for continuing to support the platform. I'll be back on next Wednesday because I'm taking him off to school. I won't be back till Wednesday, so next Thursday.
Coaches, leaders, voices you should know. Local runs deep everywhere we go. If it matters here, then it matters today. This is FSEN Daily. Same time, same way.